And I've got these PowerPoint slides, but that's not the main act. The main act is going to be on the two screens beside me. And these are going to depend on internet connection, which, as we saw, is not always reliable. So view me as kind of the backup. But the main show are my partners. And introducing my partners, we have over here Greg Diaz, Catherine Franceschi, and Jen Guapai, also known as Joe. And so we're going to be talking about virtual worlds, which is 3D immersive environments, with a key emphasis on that word, immersive. Now, in keeping with the previous speakers, I also am using a Mac, but I forgot my little device for moving the slides, so I have to walk back.
You want one?
These are...
You want one?
Okay. This is your team of presenters today, as seen in virtual worlds. So these are what are called avatars. You can design your own. So you can guess which. The easiest one to guess is Catherine. So we got Catherine. So there's Catherine. It's tempting to make yourself look a little bit thinner, better looking. So that's me. I decided he wanted to be taller and have a more pointy nose, so that's fine. And I don't know why Greg needed all his hair, but that's great. Here's a slightly different view of education. I think we would all endorse this, but it's hard to achieve. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. The key idea that we're trying to pursue here is this notion of immersion, of learning in a situation where it really grips you, so you have this engagement. One of the things that we tend to lose, I don't want to go through that whole thing. That's a long battle. I know one of the things we tend to lose in downloading, when we have PowerPoints for downloading extra materials and so forth, is this, and you really learn when you get involved. And so we're trying to set up, we think the potential is here. And I should warn you, this is new technology. We're going to use a particular virtual world called Second Life, which has only been in business for a couple of years. And it's still a small company. It's only about, I think, 25 people. They have 2,000 servers that are driving this. There's about 2 million people now participating. But it's still shaky. When we were preparing this, it went down 4 times. It was down most of the time on Wednesday when we really wanted to do rehearsals. It was down yesterday. These are some of the costs of trying to deal with new technology. So I'm saying this to you as something you might want to be alerted about. This is something that will probably get more importance as we go forward. Actually, it's curious. The vision for this came from a book in 1992. It was a sort of science fiction book called Snow Crash. And that's the first time this notion of a virtual world or the metaverse was mentioned. And so I went to the book. As science fiction, it's sort of so-so, but as technology vision, it's really remarkable. So the main character is called Hero Protagonist, and as he's approaching the streets is like the Broadway, the Champs-Élysées of the metaverse. It's the brilliantly lit boulevard that can be seen miniaturized and backward reflected in the skies. It does not really exist, but right now, millions of people are walking up and down it, like any place in reality. The street is subject to development. Developers can build their own small streets off the main one. Now, Payet will take us to Amsterdam. They can build buildings, parks, signs, as well as things that do not exist in reality, such as vast hovering overhead light shows, special neighborhoods where the rules of three-dimensional time are ignored, and also pre-combat zones where people go hunt and kill each other. Just to pass the time. The only difference is that the street does not really exist. It's just some computer graphics protocol written down on a piece of paper somewhere. None of these things is being physically built. They are rather pieces of software made available to the public over the worldwide fiber optics network. Imagine this was written, the web became popular in 1994. This was written 2 years even before the web. The internet was around. Now, as you see over here, Catherine, where are you? It looks like Catherine is visiting Amsterdam. Now, I was previously a professor in Holland, and I can tell you, coming up to the Centrale Station, this is a very realistic model of what it is to do. How many of you have ever been to Amsterdam? You probably arrived in Centrale Station. In this street that she is now, once people learn to fly, it's really hard to get them to stay down. And so, you'll see our guys, I try to get them, gravity. I keep repeating it, but they keep flying around. Anyway, Catherine, go down to the street. Now walk down the street. This is the street. The actual street is called the Damrak. And it takes you to the center of Amsterdam, which is known as the Dam. Amsterdam comes from the river Amstel. It's the dam on the Amstel, so it became Amsterdam and then later Amsterdam. So this monument down here is the monument of where the actual dam used to be. And those of you that are old enough to remember, this is where all the hippies used to hang out in the 1960s. This is a 3D virtual environment, and you see it takes some time to do the refresh. And we have even with the there's quite a bit of graphics that has to go back and forth. Once it's downloaded, so they have each of these virtual worlds has what's called a viewer. It's kind of like a browser for the internet, and it downloads the essentials of what you're looking at so that can be maintained locally. In the distance, Catherine, if you take us over, this is in the distance over there, that's the Queen's Palace. So what she is illustrating is a kind of one application of this, we might call it virtual tourism. This is quasi-realistic. It's enough to generate interest, but now the main purpose of this particular virtual world is really socializing. You meet other people, and as you see, you can present yourself. You can be, that's why it's called Second Life. You can be another person. So it's become quite popular. There's about, if I go forward on the slides here. Oh, by the way, you can be another person. Anybody remember this cartoon when the internet first came out? On the internet, nobody knows if you're a guy. So you've seen me with my stripes jacket. This is when I want to pretend to get somebody else. This is another version of me. So I developed this for a scenario we're going to try to show you a little bit later. This is a photo from the undergrad class I taught. So all of my class had avatars, and we are giving a PowerPoint presentation in Second Life. Now, these people happen to be here at FIU, but they could have been anywhere on the globe. Now, this is what we're trying to convey here, is that the relative advantage of this technology is you can support group presence. It's not good for everything. There's some shortcomings that I'll tell you about. But one of the things that when you're involved in this, and you don't really see it from the photo, when you're involved, you can feel, you can go up to somebody and you can touch them, you can push them, you can tap their shoulder, and they turn around and they look at you. It's true that video conferencing is much more realistic, but you only have the head views. So here we lose some realism, but we gain some other kinds of dynamics. We haven't quite figured out just where this fits in education. I have a strong feeling that it fits somehow with group learning. In business schools, think of how much in the face-to-face, why do you have face-to-face? It isn't just so you can see the professor, so that you interact, and groups. How often do we make groups We have group projects, this and that. And most of the e-learning that I've seen so far doesn't support that group interactivity very well. These, this is generally classified as part of this phenomenon